For most of human history, decisions belonged to people. Kings decided, generals decided, managers decided, judges decided. Machines could calculate, machines could process information, but the final decision always belonged to a human being. That was the line. And for a long time, that line seemed permanent. Computers could assist, they could provide numbers, they could generate reports, they could recommend options. But the human was still the one responsible for the final call. At least, that was the assumption. But something has quietly begun to change, not slowly and not in one place. Across the modern world, more and more decisions are being handed to systems. Algorithms now determine what information people see. Algorithms determine which posts rise and which ones disappear. Algorithms evaluate resumes before a human ever reads them. Algorithms decide which advertisements you see and which ones you never will. In many cases, the human decision maker is no longer making the decision. The system is. And the human role is slowly becoming something else. Not deciding, but reviewing. Or sometimes simply overseeing a decision that has already been made. And that raises a quiet question. If the system is making the decisions, what exactly is the role of the human? And nowhere is this shift more visible than in the most serious systems on Earth, military command. For generations, war depended on human judgment. Reports traveled up the chain. Commanders gathered intelligence, spoke with advisors, and made decisions based on incomplete information. But modern battlefields generate enormous amounts of data. Satellites, drones, radar systems. No human staff can process all of it in real time. So increasingly, systems are being built to analyze that data automatically. Algorithms identifying patterns. Algorithms highlighting threats. Algorithms recommending targets. The human is still there, still responsible, still making the final call, at least for now. But the system is getting closer to the center of the decision itself. And systems have certain advantages. They do not get tired. They do not get overwhelmed. They do not hesitate when the data becomes too large for a human mind to manage. But they also do not possess the human element, the unpredictable factor that comes from experience, intuition, and judgment. They do not understand what it feels like to be exhausted and frustrated when systems fail. They do not understand emotion. They do not understand fear, pressure, or responsibility. They simply process and recommend. And increasingly, they decide. And once systems begin making recommendations, something else begins to happen. Organizations start to trust them. Not because anyone formally decided to hand over authority, but because the incentives push in that direction. Systems are faster. Systems are cheaper. Systems scale. A human team might analyze thousands of cases. A system can analyze millions. A human analyst might take hours to process complex information. A system can do it in seconds. And when institutions face pressure to move faster, to cut costs, to process more data, the system begins to look like the obvious choice. So the role of the human decision maker slowly changes. At first, the human reviews the recommendation. Then the human approves most of them. Then the human only intervenes when something looks wrong. And eventually, the system handles most decisions by default. The human becomes the exception handler, stepping in only when the system fails. This shift is already visible across large parts of the modern world. Banks use algorithms to approve or deny loans. Insurance companies use algorithms to flag claims. Hiring systems filter resumes before a manager ever sees them. Trading systems buy and sell assets in fractions of a second. Logistics systems decide which trucks move where. Supply chains adjust automatically. Even the information people see online is filtered and ranked by systems making constant decisions about attention. Most people never see these systems. They simply experience the outcomes. A post that appears, a loan that is denied, a claim that is flagged, a package that arrives exactly on time, a job application that disappears into silence. Behind all of it are systems making millions of small decisions every single day. Decisions that once required human judgment. Decisions that now happen automatically. And the scale of those decisions is something no human institution has ever managed before.